Good day guys, nice to have you here. Today we'll talk about some of the best picks for the month of March 2023 and possibly the coming months as well. This is a prediction and could change depending on whether Moonton will roll out the adjustments to the original server or not. Historically though, they usually do. Also, these heroes were based on the following factors. These heroes were grouped according to their primary roles officially listed in the game, not the lanes nor areas they are ideally played in, and are not sorted according to how good they are since a lot of them are equally effective. And finally, we'll also share some recommendations for each hero that will certainly help you gain more wins. If you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like, share this video, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Atlas is one of the tanks with the highest base defensive stats in the game, making him a formidable roaming support the moment the game begins. His passive skill also further improves his defense whenever a skill is used. In addition to that, he has one of the most number of control effects and is capable of disrupting clashes using his control abilities as early as level 1 and greatly becomes effective at level 2 because of his mobility and immunity to slow effects thanks to his second skill. Fredrin is a powerful hero because of his annoying second skill that has a very short cooldown which knocks enemies airborne and allows him to also close the gap easily. In addition to having good mobility, his range for a melee hero is also very good thanks to his first skill and ultimate, which can both deal very high damage. Depending on how much crystal energy Fredrin has, his ultimate can deal as much as 3,000 to 4,000 damage. Glue is a hero that greatly relies on the player's ability to play in order to be effective. Once you get the hang of his skill set though, it will be very easy for you to dispose of enemies. His entire skill set also allows him to bypass frontliners and head straight to their vulnerable carry and single-handedly take them down. Another reason why Glue is so broken is his ultimate's ability, since by the time his ultimate is over, which in most cases is when the enemy he latched on is dead, his ultimate will be available again for use. Some people play him on the XP lane, but I strongly believe his best role to be in is either as a roamer or a jungler. Regardless of role though, keep in mind that Glue's passive allows him to reduce the damage dealt by enemies to him by a certain percentage per stack. So keep on hitting them with your skills as much as possible and become your team's shield. One thing to remember though is despite a portion of the damage dealt to Glue is dealt on his host, turret damage is not included. Nathan received a tremendous buff which has turned him into a very formidable marksman. He is one of the very few marksmen that can damage multiple enemies using his basic attacks alone. To make matters worse for a lot of heroes, his HP sustain is very good as well for a marksman, which allows him to not just outdamage most enemies, but also outclass them in HP regeneration. In case you guys are not aware yet, Carrie gains more stacks with Golden Staff's help by allowing her third basic attack to trigger her passive multiple times instead of one, therefore applying the true damage effect immediately instead of applying just one mark. Contrary to popular belief, she is not just an excellent anti-tank marksman. Even squishy heroes are at her mercy, especially when all of her needed items are equipped. 1-1 is still one of our top marksmen. 1-1 may not be very powerful in the early game, but as soon as she gets 2 of her primary equipment, the game is over. Her ultimate is one of the most overpowered skills in the game, which provides absolute immunity and target chasing damage effective in both duels and teamfights. The control effect that Kaja's ultimate inflicts on enemies cannot be cleansed. This makes him a very formidable hero capable of stopping any hero from their tracks. Because of how deadly his ultimate is, playing him in a jungle can be a very good choice, especially since he is very efficient in clearing jungle camps. If played properly, a jungler Kaja can reach level 4 in about 1 minute and 20 seconds. But if you're not comfortable playing him in that role, playing him as a roamer can be a very good choice as well. Depending on the role and situation, you can play him with either full magic damage in mind, a combination of magic damage and defense, or a full defensive build. Julian is still a very powerful contender, especially when teamed up with the likes of Atlas and other heroes that are capable of control locking multiple targets. Since he just got buffed again, playing him as a jungler is highly recommended in order to take advantage of his ridiculous damage output. Arlott is one of the most useful heroes in teamfights right now. He's very resilient, but is as quick as your typical assassin. He has the ability to dash from one enemy to another without any signs of stopping, which makes him very formidable against a lot of other fighters that have weaker blink or dash mechanics. Not only that, his ultimate also has tremendous range, which can be very useful in controlling multiple enemies at once. Eve has a very oppressive skill set that prevents enemies from moving freely on the battlefield. It does require some practice to play her effectively, but once you get used to her skills, getting rid of multiple enemies will be extremely easy. Her ultimate is also very versatile since you can choose to inflict continuous burst damage or burn enemies, which allows her to utilize a wide array of magic power items, including Glowing Wand. Savior is a very powerful glass cannon not only because of his damage output, but also his range and control abilities. Be careful when playing him since he is extremely squishy. Try your best to also remain hidden in the map and only come out when absolutely necessary, such as to get minion last hits or to join teamfights. In order to maximize his full potential, above average map awareness is the key, and try your best to join teamfights even if they are far away from you. Valentina is still a feared part of the meta. Her ability to counter or nullify most other heroes' abilities have been and will always be her best trait because of her powerful ultimate. She adapts well against most any lineup and works great both as an XP laner and a mid laner. Just make sure to hit enemies with her skills as much as possible in order to gain XP advantage. Diggy is the best counter against heroes that rely on control effects, such as Atlas, which is considered by many as one of the best, if not the best tanks right now. He is also fairly easy to play with and can be effective both as a mid laner or a roamer. His build path is also fairly flexible because of his skill set and can be deadly with either a full magic damage build or defensive, tanky support build. Farmis, in my opinion, is still one of the best, if not the best supports right now. His ultimate prevents himself and his allies' deaths, which creates a very unfair advantage against the enemies. I strongly believe that, same as the previous months, he will be one of the most feared heroes still, especially with the existence of powerful carries such as Julian. Estes is unmatched in greatly healing himself and his allies, but make sure to watch out for Akai and Yin since those heroes are excellent counters against him. So if you're thinking of grabbing him, might as well ban either or both of those heroes. Fanny is a surefire addition to this list, let's all be honest. Unless our team has any good picks against Fanny, such as multiple stun locks or suppression, it will be a difficult match, especially if the Fanny player knows what they're doing. In the hands of a new player, Fanny is close to useless, but in the hands of an experienced player and someone who is driven to win the game quickly, she is deadly. Her mobility is second to none and is arguably one of the strongest, if not the strongest, assassins during the early game. To make matters worse for her enemies, Fanny is also not too reliant on items, which means she can start killing enemies effectively as early as level 2. Saber is probably the easiest assassin to play with and has the most straightforward skill mechanics. His physical defense debuff is also very helpful in teamfights, making him a very good hero whether it's one-on-one or multiple hero clashes. To make matters worse for a lot of his enemies, his ultimate keeps his target airborne and helpless for more than 1 second while dealing tremendous damage, which in most cases kills the enemy instantly. Hayabusa does require some practice before you're able to play him effectively. You also have to have very high attention span, but once you get the hang of it, he can be very deadly and is capable of bypassing defenders with ease. Depending on the lineup, you are also not obligated to equip full damage items because of his deadly skill set that amplifies his skill damage up to 20%. So even if you need 2 or even 3 defensive items against certain enemies or situations, his damage output will still be superb. There you go. Those are the heroes that I think will leave a mark next month. What do you think? If you were to replace some of the heroes here, who would it be and who would you replace it with? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit like, share this video, and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe everyone. Peace.